Okay.
Hello, Suyen. How are you?
I am really good, and a happy new year to you, Nizam, and all the
Thank
people that
you.
you love.
Thank you, and wish you to a wonderful and prosperous new year. Yeah. And
Thank
uh, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to interview you. And this is my first interview in this year. So
Ah,
yes, I'm very happy. Thank you for this opportunity.
well, it's a great blessing for me too. So thank you for the opportunity.
So, friends, we have Suyen here. So, she lives in Devon paradise with a motley assortment of the horses, dogs, cats, and pot plants. She is a true Renaissance woman who is never unaware of just how lucky she has always been. Her childhood was split between living in Africa and attending boarding school in the UK. With the odd road trip in between, we'll find out about her odd road trip in between. Combination provided an eclectic mix of character and experiences from which she says she has never recovered. Her desire to become a vet led to a lifetime's involvement with animals of every type and to work with NGOs such as Four Paws and the Princess Alia Foundation, a mother of two, and with five grandchildren. She now works full time for the local children's services, teaches Chinese cookery, paints, writes, and has just qualified as a life coach. Amazing. Your journey is too interesting.
Thank
So,
you.
uh, please show us the first book which I'm going to interview about. So, friends, this is the main purpose. I have requested Suyen to give me this interview. So, 2020 vision, the wisdom of
Yep.
the hindsight, right? So,
Yep.
tell me, Suyen, like what inspired you to write this book?
Well, it sort of happened as so many things in life just unfold. It was not planned. Okay.
Yeah.
So because of COVID and lockdown, I noticed that there was on social media a competition for a short story.
Okay.
And the competition was open to people, I thought, over 60, and I'm over 60. So I thought, I can do that. I can write a short story of 10,000 words. And I wrote a short story and I sent it off. And they wrote back and they said, well, that's great. Now, why don't you all do another one? So I thought, okay, I can do another 10,000 words. So I wrote another short story and I sent it off. And then I thought to myself, what I could do with this is turn this into a book. And so what I did was I structured it around 8 days, all of which were 10,000 words. That's the structure I gave myself. And I wanted each day to reflect how in our lives we repeat certain rituals and certain routines every day. That's just every day. We get up, we get out of bed, we have breakfast, we get dressed, whatever it might be. But at the same time that that's happening, inside our heads, we're going on a different journey because our thoughts are going backwards and forwards in time about things we've done or our families and friends have done, how those things might impact upon our future and also our present. And that's how the book was born. So I did that for 8 days. It took me 6 months. And then I had a book.
Okay, so thank you for letting us know how it began.
Yeah.
And who are your target audience for this?
My target audience, after you suggested I think about that in preparation for this, I've never even thought about my target audience.
Okay.
To be honest, but what happens now is that sometimes somebody will be talking or they'll put something on social media and I'll think, I think my book might help you.
Okay.
So my target audience, I've decided, is really people who find themselves repeating lessons of life
Okay.
because they're not getting the lesson.
Wonderful.
So and what the book shows is that we don't go, it's not about, I don't think it's about repeating circles or cycles. Our lives are actually about spirals.
Okay.
Because the spiral moves us forward through time, but we're still going through the same fundamental experiences until we learn the lesson. And then we don't have to repeat that fundamental experience anymore. And that's the target audience. It's because, so that would be my answer. For people who are trying to find a different perspective on their lives, really. Wow. And that's just come to be. It wasn't something I set out to do. It really wasn't. But the book has become its own creation. It's organically. And I had no idea that was going to happen when I sent off that first short story.
Amazing. So can we say that breaking the repetitive patterns is possible by reading your book, or a person gets insight?
I would like to think so, in all humility. I would like to think so. And I think it because of what people have told me, feedback that I've had from my readers. As I say, it wasn't something I set out to do. I simply it happened. Wow. And that's what's so, for me, very humbling, because it's been wonderful to get feedback from readers and to hear that it's changed their perspective on their world, on the way that they experience their lives. And it's huge. I mean, what a gift. I mean, it was my blessing to be able to do that. And I feel very humbled by that as well. And it's just happened organically almost,
We can call Suyen the chosen one to deliver this message.
You're very kind. You're very kind.
Okay. So for the audience who are watching this interview, Suyen, could you please give a few tips who have this repetitive patterns of attracting the wrong partner, or is like one business after another business? There is, again, I like the word where you have clarified it is not cycles, it is spirals. Even though it seems like the same situation has occurred, it is spiral, again one more spiral, yet some tips so that they can become aware of that they are moving to the spirals and also accelerate their lessons.
Yes.
So few tips.
Yeah.
What are your tips, Suyen?
What am I? Sorry?
Some of your tips. Could you please provide some tips?
Oh gosh, now that's really that's a really profound question, because
the first tip from my side is please read the book.
Please read the book. Yeah. I mean, I think so much of all of us, our lives goes back to childhood, and it goes back to, I mean, I was very blessed, and I acknowledge that. I was extraordinarily blessed because I had amazing parents, and my parents made me feel very loved. So I was very fortunate, and I am, because I work in a service, children's services, I am very aware that that's not always the case for children. They're not, every child is so blessed as to feel loved. And I think that sense of acceptance, which grows into a sense of self-esteem, is really fundamental to a lot of problems that adults have. And it goes right back to that sense of being apart or alienated or not accepted or judged, all those things which are traumatic, and they put down a bedrock of lack of self-belief. And I understand it's very difficult to overcome that. And I haven't got a magic wand, and I can't give you a prescription to say, you know, take these tablets before bedtime and you'll be fine in the
Yes.
morning, because it doesn't work that way. But what I have learned, and as you're quite, please read the book, but what I have learned is that there are different ways of responding and reacting to the difficulties, the challenges that life throws at us. And I've had to survive a lot of those challenges. So for me, I mean, my daughter said to me when she read the book, she said, your book is a book of hope, because it shows people that you can survive the very worst of life, and you can survive and come out the other side. You know, it is possible. Thank you, God. It is possible. And so, yes, my book is about that. And it's the way, because of the way it became, as I said, it birthed itself really, and it created itself in a way that all writers say many books suddenly take on a life of their own. What I realized was that these lessons, they just keep coming, and they keep coming, and the way we respond to them changes if we are lucky enough to be able to change with them, until you get to the other side and you think, gosh, this is the lesson I've learned. You know, this is this, and here I still am. My father used to have this saying, which is in the book, you know, this too shall pass.
Yes.
And it's very hard. And I'm not minimalizing or trivializing any of the suffering that people go through, because I have been there. So I know. And I think that from what people have said to me, that may be part of the power of the book, because people have read the book and it's factual, and they know that I have done or been in those places. And here I am, as crazy as ever.
Awesome.
So what, you know, that's just, and it's really easy. It could be really easy to say that that I'm being flippant, you know, but I'm very aware that everything is relative. You know, the people in war-torn Sudan, for example, you know, they haven't got time to philosophize or pontificate, or, you know, they when they were at war, at civil war years ago, all they had to do was struggle to eat, to survive, to find clean water. And I'm very aware of those discrepancies in our various relative realities. I mean, you and I are sitting here and we're safe, we're on the internet, you know, but that's not everybody's reality. And I'm very aware of that as well. So when I say that this too shall pass, I'm not being flippant with that, but I have come to learn that. Okay. That if you can hang on, if you can just hang on and find somewhere deep within yourself and it goes back, and now it's very fashionable, isn't it, to talk about self-love. You know, it's very fashionable to use that phrase. When I was growing up, nobody on earth had heard about the phrase self-love. What the hell was that? I mean, you know, now it's a very fashionable phrase. But there's almost a contradiction, because you do have to have a sense of worth. And it's very hard to get that if you've been abused all of your life. And I'm aware of that. And that it's not an easy one, you know, because you could say, oh, it's really easy, you know, do this or the other, but it's not easy. It's sort of like a dawning, maybe, an awareness that grows. And if you're lucky, and I do think there's an element of luck, and whether it's divine intervention or spirituality or a combination, you know, from the moment we are born, or conceived, actually, as I say in my book, from the moment we are conceived, we start to be conditioned. You know, there's because I come from a scientific and an artistic background, so, you know, the biochemistry of how we are conditioned from that moment of conception starts then. And all the things that we go through in utero, you know, it's all part of who we become. So it's huge, and you can't minimalize or trivialize any part of that. And it is really hard if you've had a difficult, you know, as I say, I was very blessed with loving parents, but a lot of my friends weren't. A lot of children I know, or adults I know now, as children, were made to feel less than whatever they should, that awful word should. You know, they weren't good enough, basically, and they were made to feel that by a parent, which is horrific. horrific degree of alienation, and it's a really hard struggle to overcome that. And I acknowledge that it's very hard. I think what I would hope the book will do is get people to trust in themselves more, to have more faith in their own intrinsic worth. And really, and that's when that goes back to self-love, doesn't it? You know, having that trust that you really are worthwhile. People are worthwhile. And I've always believed that. I've always believed from a child that people are intrinsically good. It's just they get screwed up along the way. Yes. You know, life happens and they get screwed up. But you can come back, you know, and that's the message of hope, really.
Wonderful. Thank you. And you have written another book on gratitude. So could you please show that book?
Certainly.
Audience?
Okay.
That is 100 days of
a much
gratitude.
smaller one. 100 days of
gratitude. Yes. So what inspired you to write this second book? Well,
ironically, this book was written before the other one. Because so what happened, I'll explain what it wasn't released, but it was. Okay. So what happened was a friend of mine sent me, some of you I'm sure will have done it as well. There was a course being offered on social media by Deepak Chopra. Okay. On gratitude. That's right. It was like 25 days of gratitude.
Yes, a lot of people have done that on WhatsApp.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So yes, or 7 lessons in gratitude. I think the book is called Secrets of Success, something like that. So I was told about this, and I thought, oh, that's an interesting idea. So then I went away from that, and every day in a notebook I wrote down a reason to be grateful, and I thought I'm going to set myself a task for 100 days. To write down 100 things to be grateful for. They were totally off, off the wall. I think this one, I'm just opening it up now. Day 59 says trees, for example. Okay. I mean, there's another day that says tweezers, and I'm not even going to go into that because you can read the book. So I did that for 100 days. And then I thought, this is worthy of putting on social media. So I started up a Facebook page, and I called it 100 Days of Gratitude. Every day I posted one of those topics with a story or a short anecdote, you know, a few lines. And I asked my audience, my friends, to join me. Well, that didn't go too well because people couldn't do it for 100 days. Some people did it for 7, some people did it for 15, whatever. But I managed to do it for 100 days, and the 100 days finished around Christmas time, which was divine intervention. You know, that wasn't planned, but that's how it worked.
It happened.
So that was at the end of 2019. So that was there. And then in 2020, I wrote the book. I started the book in April, I think. And all the time I was thinking, I really should do something with those 100 days of gratitude. I really should do, you know, niggle. The book came, a big book, 2020 Vision came out. And that was in 2020. Yes, that makes sense. So it was released, I sent it off in November of 2020. And by February, I think, of 2021, almost a year ago, it was available as a paperback because it took a while. Trust me, I had so much to learn. I still don't know it all about self-publishing because I had no money. I had absolutely no money with which to publish this book. And that's a big lesson in itself for anyone listening or watching. Trust me, it's a big lesson. So I had no money, but the book came out. And then last year, towards I don't know when it was, I think it was August time, I thought I really should revamp those 100 days of gratitude and make a book out of it. Really need to do that, Suyen, you know. And as it turns out, I went through God, that was another chore, going through Facebook posts from a year ago or 2 years ago and trying to put them into a Word document, hilarious, or a Google document, even more hilarious. But I managed to send the book off to the same people, the same digital platform by September of whenever it was, last year, 2021, yeah, last year. And it came out really quickly because it was my second book. So it just went bang, you know, that everything was in place with the people who handled it for me. and it came out. And so although it came out second, it was actually put together before the other one. And it's just a bit of fun. The topics are totally unrelated. Now the book, most of the entries in the book have a short story to go with them. Wow. From my life. Some are only a paragraph long, some are three or four pages long. Sorry about that. I'll just turn off my mobile phone. And so that's how that came about. And I'm now working on another manuscript.
Wow.
Because I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm still trying to work out how to format. Okay. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure many of your friends know all about formatting, but I'm a total format idiot. And I never realized that if you migrate Word documents, they change. So I'm still trying to come to terms. I've got a third manuscript and I'm looking at it with horror and thinking, oh my God, am I going to be able to do it right this time, you know, without sort of migrating a manuscript, and then it gets to where it's going and it's all wrong because they've changed the spacing and it was a nightmare. It's been a nightmare. But yes, I'm working on a third one now.
Amazing. Could we get a small teaser about what is it you're writing about?
Well, again, this one is about it's fact. It's not fiction, because fiction's the hardest thing to write. I'm leaving that one for now. It's a book called it's about my lifetime with animals. Wow. Because I've had a lot of animals in my life, many different species, exotic, all sorts of things, and people like to read about animals. So I actually thought that would be my next book, and it's about half finished. I've done about 60,000 words. Wow. And it's been stopped. I sort of stopped for maybe the last 6 weeks over Christmas and New Year, and I'm hoping to get back to it very soon. But of course now I'm back because we're not in lockdown anymore. Well, we are, but I'm working full time, so I have to work, unfortunately, unless I win the lottery, God willing. I'm spared. But because I have to work full time, it's difficult to cut off the energy that goes into my work
and writing,
and then writing, because the work is quite intense work. I work with families of children, so it's quite intense. But yes, so I'm looking forward. I'm not rushing the third book. I'm just thinking it'll come when it comes, and it'll be ready when it's ready.
It will happen in its own way.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. This is what I've learned, you see.
Amazing. And one first question to you: do you still ride horses?
Yes, I do. I have one horse. Still own one horse. She was a horse I rescued. I rehomed her about 6 years ago. She's not a ridden horse. She can't be ridden, unfortunately. So she just is. She's just a companion. She just is someone I look after. Let's put it that way. Beautiful. And she's very beautiful, though.
So it was. Thank you very much, Suyen. I really loved talking to you about the books, which were more than, I shouldn't say about written, I should say they happened.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of people want to write, and then from years, one last question, then. I promise it's a last question.
No, I don't mind. My time is your time, Nizam. Ask me as much as you like.
What's your suggestion? Because, it is told that every person has a book within, and it is waiting to come out. So many people, like from the past 5 years, 10 years, have been thinking of, but who will read, and then postponement and all that, not feeling confident or something.
Yeah.
One advice from you, who wants to write but not able to.
Okay, and I'm aware of that, because a couple of my very close friends very much want to write, but they're not writing. So my advice, I suppose, would be stop thinking about it. Okay. And that's on all levels. I also mean, stop thinking about the fact you want to write a book. Stop thinking about the book you want to write. Stop thinking about your target audience. Stop thinking. Just start writing.
Wow.
I know that sounds like a catchphrase or something glib that I'm throwing out there, but I mean, what I advised one of my good friends, because she actually took a creative writing course at university, and she hasn't written a word since. It totally stopped her in her tracks. She can't write now, which is horrific, really. What I said to her was, think of a part of your life that you, or a time in your life that you love. That, you know, when you meet people, what is it you talk about more than anything that moves you with passion? Is it your dog? Is it your garden? Is it your great grandmother? Is it a job you had in, you know, Eastern Europe? Is it food? Is it what? Think of something that moves you with passion, and then write that down. Just write it down, just a paragraph, you know, and then tomorrow do the same thing, and the next day do the same thing. Because writing, I mean, I actually took a degree in English, as it turns out, at the end, after doing the veterinary medicine and all the other science stuff. Writing does require a certain amount of dedication and diligence and determination and discipline, unfortunately. I would like to, I mean, I'm very cavalier, I am, with everything. But I have learned that you do, especially if you're stuck, and all it needs is for you just pick up your pen or whatever I think people should use a pen when they do this, but you can use a laptop, a piece, whatever you damn well choose. Just write a paragraph a day.
Wow.
And it doesn't matter how short that paragraph is, because my friend said to me, she can't even write a sentence. And I said, well, you need to sit down, shut up, pick up a pen, and write me 6 sentences a day and send it to me. Because it's actually that discipline of deciding, I'm going to put words together. Don't worry about whether they're any good. Don't worry about whether anybody's going to read them, whether you're going to make your first million by selling them. By the way, you don't make any money writing books, trust me, unless you've got an agent. And of course, people don't know me, so unwritten authors don't have agents. You can't get one. And you can't get a publishing house to pick you up either, because you're unknown. So, I mean, it's an absolute nightmare, self-publishing. But that would be my advice. You have to get into that place in your head where you want to share what moves you. And to start with, I mean, it's an old cliche, I would say you don't write fiction. You actually, just to break that impasse, write about something that moves you. As I say, it could be your favorite food, it could be your pet, a flower, anything you like, your child, your partner, God forbid, anything, you know, just to get you into that habit of sitting down, stopping life, basically, and writing it. That's what I would say to all those people, because I've heard it all my life. Everybody, I mean, I've been told all my life, you should be writing ad nauseam. Everybody's been telling me I should be writing since I was in my 20s. But this was the first time I stopped, because I had to, and started writing seriously, I suppose, you know. And for everybody, that's the thing.
Amazing.
That's it. I don't know if it's amazing.
I've been 20 twice, and now comes this advice from you. Well,
you don't have to follow it. It's just my opinion.
That is such a beautiful advice, because, you know, I'm not good enough. Who would read? Is this possible? What if people judgment? I think once that is broken, writing a book itself heals many unhealed parts, I guess.
Yeah, it can be very cathartic. And I mean, the thing about my book, which I want to share with people, is the fact I did not have any money to get it published. And that's really important, because lots of self-publishing, you need money to publish. But I found a platform which is called D2D, it's called Draft 2 Digital. And although there have been hiccups, as I say, with the formatting, there hasn't been a hiccup. What I didn't do it to make money, because I didn't. So it didn't matter to me that I'm earning like $1 a book, whatever the royalty is, I don't know. it was something, 59 cents or whatever it is, because what mattered was the writing of the book and getting it out there. That's what mattered. What comes next, God knows. Only God knows what comes next. But that's what mattered. And that's what I would say to people. You write the book, you put it out there, and then you wait to see what happens. Because that's how you start, and then I think the universe takes over. I think that life comes back, and that's how it goes.
Wonderful. Awesome. So thank you very much, Suyen. It was amazing, not just to know about your book, your journey as an author, and
Thank you.
your own challenges, and what's your advice to the authors to be. So it was such a heartful conversation, and
Thank you.
friends, whoever is interested to purchase Suyen's books, I'm going to provide all the Amazon links out there.
Thank you. Thank you.
And, you can read out, and that was, and thank you very much. This is my first interview of 2022.
I know. No, thank you. Thank you. It's
Heartful
wonderful to start the year.
conversation. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Oh, bless you. Well, many thanks to you too, Nizam.
Thank you very much once again. And may many, many, many books be born out of you.
Thank you.
Transform lives.
I will try. I will try.
No, you don't have to try it. Those books will happen.
Thank you.
Okay, so have a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.